Newly released image of 3I Atlas confirms it's not a comet, stunning researchers worldwide. The Pentagon has summoned U.S. military leaders to Virginia, with insiders linking the move to 3I Atlas.
What happens when the universe sends us a visitor that refuses to follow the rules? On October 19th, 2024, astronomers flag a faint streak moving through the outer solar system. Another comet, they think. Catalog it, track it, move on. But within 48 hours, something about this object makes them stop cold. Its trajectory is wrong. Its composition doesn't match. And then, as it draws closer to Earth, it begins transmitting a signal. This is 3I Atlas, the third confirmed interstellar object to enter our solar system. And according to Professor Brian Cox, it may be the most dangerous discovery in human history. His warning wasn't delivered with the usual wonder and excitement that defines his career. This time, his tone carried something else entirely: caution, urgency, and a barely concealed sense of dread. He urged the global scientific community to proceed with extreme care, to consider the possibility that we are not merely observing a cosmic anomaly, but interacting with something that is observing us. When 3I Atlas first appeared on telescope arrays, it looked like nothing special, a dim smudge against deep space. Astronomers cataloged it as a long-period comet and prepared to move on, but within 72 hours, everything changed. Its orbit was hyperbolic. That single word rewrote the rulebook. The object didn't originate from our solar system. It came from somewhere else. Interstellar space, the void between stars. This made it only the third confirmed visitor from beyond our cosmic neighborhood. The first was Oumuamua in 2017. The second was Comet Borisov in 2019. Both were strange, but both eventually fit within our understanding of natural celestial mechanics. 3I Atlas refused to fit. As observatories tracked its path, they noticed something deeply unusual. The object was accelerating. Not like comets accelerate when they heat up and release jets of gas. This was different, smooth, consistent, and it didn't correspond to its distance from the sun. Spectroscopic analysis showed no significant outgassing. No tail, no coma of debris, just a dark, elongated shape moving through space with purpose. The numbers didn't add up. Its velocity changed in ways that couldn't be explained by gravity alone. It was as if something was steering it. Course corrections, minute but measurable, occurred at regular intervals. Natural objects don't do this. Asteroids and comets are slaves to gravity and momentum, but 3I Atlas was writing its own path. Then came the electromagnetic signature. Radio telescopes detected faint but structured emissions, not random static, not the kind of radiation you'd expect from a cold rock tumbling through the void. This was organized, patterned, repeating, and it was getting stronger as the object approached Earth. Within 48 hours, telescopes at Arecibo, the Very Large Array in New Mexico, and the Square Kilometer Array in South Africa had all independently confirmed it. The object was transmitting a repeating sequence, and buried inside that sequence were mathematical relationships that don't occur in nature. Prime numbers in ascending order, geometric progressions, ratios corresponding to fundamental constants of physics. For the first time in human history, protocols designed for detecting extraterrestrial intelligence were activated not for a distant star system, but for an object inside our own solar system. The signal wasn't a faint whisper from light years away. It was here, close, and getting closer. But here's what made scientists truly uneasy. The signal was hidden, embedded within ordinary background radiation, the kind of electromagnetic noise that fills the universe. If you weren't looking for it specifically, you'd never find it. It was camouflaged, stealthed within the static. This suggested something profoundly disturbing. Whoever created this signal didn't want it to be easily detected. They wanted it to blend in, to pass unnoticed unless someone was paying very close attention. The level of sophistication required implies technology far beyond our current capabilities. The global scientific community fractured almost immediately. One group wanted to attempt a response, to send a signal back and see what happens. Another group, led by voices like Brian Cox, urged absolute radio silence. His warning was clear. We don't know what this is. We don't know what it wants. And we certainly don't know what will happen if we announce our presence. The thing nobody tells you about first contact scenarios is that the civilization doing the contacting holds all the power. They chose when. they chose how, and they've had time to prepare for every possible response we might give. We're not in control of this conversation. We never were. While cryptographers worked on decoding the signal, physicists were staring at something even more impossible. Gravitational wave observatories picked up an anomaly in the fabric of space around 3I Atlas. The distortion field surrounding the object didn't match its estimated mass, not even close. Based on its size and observable composition, 3I Atlas should have a gravitational signature roughly equivalent to a small mountain. Instead, it was warping spacetime like an object thousands of times more massive. The numbers were off by several orders of magnitude. Multiple independent observatories confirmed the same impossible data. Even more disturbing were the negative energy readings. In physics, negative energy is a theoretical concept tied to exotic matter, the kind of substance required to hold open a wormhole or create a warp drive. It's never been observed in nature. It may not even exist, yet the instruments were detecting exactly that. Scientists began comparing the readings to predictions made decades ago by physicist Miguel Alcubierre. He proposed a theoretical method of faster-than-light travel that contracts space in front of a vessel and expands it behind, allowing the ship to surf on a wave of distorted spacetime. The mathematics work, but the energy requirements are astronomical. 3I Atlas was exhibiting frame-dragging effects, a phenomenon where massive rotating objects literally drag the fabric of spacetime around them. You see this near black holes and neutron stars. You don't see it around interstellar rocks. The implications hit like a freight train. This wasn't a natural object drifting through the cosmos. This was a construct, a vessel, something engineered by an intelligence with mastery over forces we barely understand. Brian Cox's second warning came shortly after these findings went public. We are not ready for what this represents. We're looking at technology that could be centuries ahead of us, maybe millennia. The gap between their capabilities and ours might be as vast as the gap between us and Stone Age humans trying to reverse engineer a smartphone. If you're fascinated by what we've uncovered so far, hit that subscribe button now, because what happens next will challenge everything you thought you knew about reality itself. On November 3rd, 2024, two separate observatories 14,000 kilometers apart recorded 3I Atlas at the exact same moment. When the data was cross-referenced, something impossible emerged. The object was in two different positions, simultaneously. The distance between the two positions would have required the object to travel faster than light. Not slightly faster, dramatically faster. As more observatories joined the tracking effort, the impossible readings multiplied. 3I Atlas was being detected in locations separated by distances that defied every known law of motion. This is a phenomenon that only happens in the quantum realm. Subatomic particles can exist in superposition, occupying multiple states or locations until observed. But superposition collapses at macroscopic scales. You can't have a mountain-sized object in two places at once. Yet here was undeniable proof. 3I Atlas was violating the principle of locality. It was demonstrating quantum behavior at a scale that shouldn't exist in our universe. Some physicists suggested the object was phasing between dimensions. Others proposed it was using quantum entanglement at a macro scale. A few fringe voices suggested we were witnessing technology that treats physical laws as software, rewriting the code of reality on demand. But the most unsettling theory came from those studying quantum computing. What if 3I Atlas wasn't a ship or a probe in the traditional sense? What if it was a quantum substrate, a computing platform that exists in superposition intentionally, processing information across multiple simultaneous states? A thinking machine, a consciousness distributed across quantum probability space. If 3I Atlas operates as a quantum system, then every telescope pointed at it, every sensor tracking its position, might be forcing it to resolve into a single state. We might be collapsing its wave function just by watching. And if that's true, then it knows we're here. Our observation isn't passive. It's an interaction, a dialogue conducted in the language of quantum mechanics. Then came the moment that pushed the scientific community past the edge of rational explanation. The object began to replicate. On November 9th, observers tracking 3I Atlas noticed the object's signature had doubled. Two distinct gravitational sources, two separate electromagnetic signals, two objects where moments before there had been only one. 3I Atlas had split, but this wasn't a breakup. The two objects maintained identical trajectories, identical signals, identical spacetime distortion profiles. They weren't fragments, they were copies. Within 72 hours, there were 4. A week later, 16. Each new duplicate emerged without any observable mechanism. No material ejection reflection, no energy flash. The object simply appeared, as if the universe was running a copy-paste command on reality itself. The scientific term that kept appearing in emergency briefings was von Neumann probe, a self-replicating machine that travels to a distant star system, gathers raw materials, and builds copies of itself. Those copies spread to other star systems and repeat the process. Exponential growth. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes millions. Humanity has considered this strategy ourselves. We've recognized that self-replication is the only practical way to explore the vast distances between worlds. If we've thought of it, why wouldn't they? But here's the terrifying math. If 3I Atlas continues replicating at its current rate, the solar system could contain thousands of copies within months, millions within a year. We're not dealing with a visitor anymore. We're dealing with a swarm. Are these probes exploratory, scientific instruments gathering data about our civilization? Or are they something else? Surveyors preparing the way for something larger, infrastructure builders, or worse, a containment protocol activating in response to something we did. We rarely consider that advanced civilizations might have protocols in place, automated systems designed to respond to emerging technological species. If we crossed some invisible threshold, if our radio signals or our nuclear detonations triggered an alarm light years away, these probes might be the response. Brian Cox's warnings grew more urgent with each new duplication event. We may have triggered something we don't understand. Every observation, every attempt to study these objects might be feeding them data, teaching them about us. And the more we learn, the more it becomes clear that these aren't random visitors. They're here for a reason.
They're executing a program, and we have no idea what happens when that program reaches its final stage. As of today, 3I Atlas and its duplicates have reached the outer solar system. The original object crossed beyond the orbit of Neptune in early December. The copies followed in formation, maintaining precise distances from one another, like a fleet executing maneuvers. They're fading, moving toward the darkness between stars, and yet the signal continues. It's weaker now, stretched thin across growing distances, but it's still transmitting. Every major radio telescope on Earth remains locked on those fading signals, recording every fragment, cataloging every pattern. Teams of linguists, mathematicians, and cryptographers work around the clock, racing against the inevitable moment when the objects pass beyond our ability to detect them. But here's what keeps scientists awake at night. We don't know if they're leaving or if they're waiting. The duplicates could be scouts, surveying the boundaries of our solar system before reporting back. They could be seeds, dormant until some future condition activates them. Or they could be watching us right now, analyzing our response. Every telescope we point at them, every message we debate sending, every decision made in the halls of power, all of it might be data. All of it might be the test. The scientific community remains fractured. One faction argues for continued observation, for pushing harder to decode the signal before it's too late. They believe the message contains knowledge, perhaps the reason these probes were sent, perhaps an invitation, perhaps a warning we desperately need to hear. But the other faction urges complete disengagement. Brian Cox stands at the forefront of this group. His final public statement carried a weight that silenced the usual academic debate. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. He wasn't speaking metaphorically.
He was speaking as a physicist who understands that information itself can be dangerous, that knowledge can be a trap. There's a concept in evolutionary biology called the Great Filter. It's the idea that somewhere between the emergence of life and the colonization of galaxies, there exists a barrier, a test that most civilizations fail. We look at the universe and see billions of stars, trillions of planets, endless opportunities for life, yet we see no evidence of anyone else. No megastructures, no galaxy-spanning empires, just silence. What if 3I Atlas is the filter? What if civilizations like ours, curious and ambitious and reckless, always reach out to the cosmos? And what if something out there always answers? Not with hostility, not with war, but with information. A signal so perfectly crafted that any species capable of detecting it will be compelled to decode it. And in that decoding, they seal their fate. We are standing at a crossroads. The choice isn't whether to be afraid or excited. The choice is whether to look or to look away. Whether to reach for knowledge that might elevate us or destroy us. The objects are still out there, still moving, still transmitting. And somewhere in the vast space between here and wherever they came from, something knows we exist. Something sent these probes into our solar system with a purpose we haven't yet grasped. So we want to hear from you. If you had access to the decoded message, would you read it? Would you risk everything humanity has built for the chance to learn what's written in that signal? Or would you choose ignorance? ignorance, safety, the comfort of not knowing. Let us know in the comments what you would do. And if you want to stay updated as this story continues to unfold, as new data emerges and the mystery deepens, hit that subscribe button, because 3I Atlas may have left our solar system, but this story is far from over. The object is still out there, still watching, still waiting.
Sex 0.05 sex. And the most terrifying part, we still don't know what happens when it finishes its mission.